Today on the 10-12 podcast, myself and Chase A. Kiddy are making picks for every Week 14 Big 12 game on the schedule. That includes the Duel in the Desert, Farmageddon, and of course, Colorado, Oklahoma State, because why not? And plenty of thoughts on taking care and dealing with kids while you are recording at home. It's a good one. It's a fun one for your Thanksgiving listen.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Welcome to the 10-12, the podcast that covers all 16 teams in the Big 12 Conference. I am your host, Phillip Slavin. Thank you for joining us on this Thanksgiving week. Oh, I forgot all the rest of the spiel. You know, this is what happens when you throw everything out of a whack. We are the flagship show of the 10-12 Network. Find every show at network at 1012network.com. And of course, we're partners with Sports Social, Europe's biggest sports podcast network. We're recording this. We are recording this on a Wednesday morning. We were going to record on Tuesday night. I'm sure you can hear children calling right now. Chase A. Kiddy, my co-host on the Weekly Picks Pod. This is your future, sir.
Yeah, I was joking with Phillip off mic. Normally we have parenting advice. This week we just have parenting happening directly in front of me for me to watch and take notes off of.
Yeah, sometimes the best way is just to watch. Hey, Emmy, you want to say hi to everybody?
Blah, blah.
Yeah? Thanks, Emmy. Is that all you got?
Insight.
Yes.
All right, go play with your baby sister, please. Not in here. No, Bennett. No, okay. So now the 5-year-old is with Nana. Oh, is it a good apple? Okay, will you close the door behind you, please? I need you to close the door. And it's still wide open. And so the 5-year-old is with Nana out doing, I think they're going to go paint some pottery because she loves doing that. So the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old are here while mom is baking. Can you close the door for me? No, I need you on the outside of the door. I need you to go outside. No, Bennett, not inside. No, I need you to go out. Daddy's working. I need you to go out. Because I need you to go out. Go play with Amy. Because I asked you to.
I have almost 2 snacks.
You did?
I have almost 2 snacks.
Bun fruit snacks? Okay.
I have some.
I love you. And there we go. All right, so that is the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old are here. Running amok of the house. 2-year-old running around in her underwear. Get ready for that. That happens a lot.
It's a holiday show.
Without closing.
This is what holidays look like. Yeah.
This is absolutely a Thanksgiving week show. The least amount of prep I've ever done for a Picks Pod in my entire life. Because I've been off work since Friday. But to say that I have been still at all since then would be incorrect. So we are here. There's an example of my adorable children. And I mean that very sincerely. They are the cutest things on earth. But, okay.
On brand, a lot of my prep this morning was my wife and I continuing to try to settle the great name debate on the girl twin. We're still not there, but we're throwing out a lot. She's got a couple that I really don't like, and I've got a couple that she really doesn't like. And then we have one that we both like, but maybe has been claimed by my sister, if my sister ever has kids. So onward.
So we got a boy and a girl.
Got a boy and a girl, and the boy has been long settled. And the girl, we still got it.
Okay. Not right now. Okay. So just prepare yourselves for children interruptions on the regular on today's episode.
It's going to be a fun edit for you.
I'm not editing any of this. I'm not doing that. If I take extra time to work on this particular episode, it will not go over well. Let's just put it. It's not a popular opinion that Dad is working on his for fun podcast during Thanksgiving week already.
Got it.
So we're just gonna roll with this and minimize the actual work amount. So whether you're listening to this on your drive or travels or listening to it to help you with your turkey stupor and nap time, that's great. We appreciate you listening to this before games kick off, and I assume the download numbers will be low, but that's okay. We're going to do it anyway because we feel it's important. No guest this week. We were supposed to have Parker, but since we moved the schedule around, he was not able to make it, so he's going to join us for championship week next week. I say that now, which means that we'll have some other issue, and then maybe he'll make it for the bowl game, and Parker will officially become our Matt Damon, where we mention him every week, and then he never actually shows up here on the podcast. But what we're going to shoot for next week is the plan. So let's just recap. Look, there's lots of news we could get to. We're just going to roll with this. Let's get to last week's results. Chase, everybody went 5-4. We all were winners. We now have our third ever winning guest as well. Douglas went 5-4 with us. He tweeted about it because he's putting the gauntlet down for Parker to see if he can do a better job than him. Chase, you went 5-4, hit on the under 63.5 in West Virginia UCF, hit on Arizona State -3, hit on Kansas +3.5 versus Colorado, hit on under 50.5 in Houston Baylor, and hit on Utah +7.5 versus Iowa State. The misses were the under 59.5 in TCU Arizona, Oklahoma State +3.5, under 53 in Kansas State Cincinnati, and Western Kentucky +1.5. They had a lead, and then Liberty pulled away to win that one. 5-4 on the week, 53, 57, and 1 on the season so far.
I gotta get my research department to go back and listen to some old episodes and see what the record is. Let's say since week 8 on the here are my non-Big 12 plays officially, and then by the way, here's something I'd also consider not going to count officially. I think I'm maybe, I don't know, like 0-6 on the official plays and 12-2 on the here's something to consider plays. So pretty strong outing.
I mean, hey, so whatever your first pick was this week, table it and go with pick number 2.
Yeah.
That should be the
I've already done. Okay. Already done.
Perfect. I also went 5-4, hit on TCU -11.5 for Arizona, hit on over 66.5 in Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, hit on West Virginia +3 versus UCF, hit on Baylor -7.5 versus Houston, and hit on USC -4.5 versus UCLA. The misses were the under 48.5 in Arizona State BYU by 3 points, missed on the over 59.5 in Kansas Colorado by 3 points, missed on the under 42.5 in Utah Iowa State. I don't know what happened there, and missed on the under 53 in Kansas State Cincinnati, which felt good till late, because why not? This is what I get for going back to a bunch of totals. That's what I get. It's my own fault. But 57 and 54, stay above 500 for another week. I'm feeling good about that. So, Chase, any final thoughts before we just hop into this week's picks?
There's a lot that I really like this week. Probably the most since early September in terms of odds and games that I will bet. So that scares me a little bit, but since it's one of those expanded weekends because it's the holiday where you're going to have a lot of football on stretched over multiple days, it'll be fun to have rooting interests. That's for sure. But yeah, there's a lot.
Well, I noticed your best bets article has quite a few on it this week. Quite a few. So, all right. Well, we do this the same way every single week. Okay, hold on. I have to go shut the door. I have to. If ever there was a week we should have done this show live, this is the week we should have done it.
Chaos. It's the Thanksgiving episode. There are lots of sides.
Moving forward, I think the Thanksgiving episode should always be shot in the morning and done live just for the sheer comedic purposes. So, all right, let's get to this. We do the same way every single week. We go in chronological order. That means we are starting on Friday. Big 12 in Boulder, Colorado, 11 a.m. on ABC. Colorado hosting Oklahoma State. Hoo boy. Get excited for this one, folks. Colorado currently a 16.5 point favorite. Total in this one is 65, though you can get a 65.5 if you need it. Chase, you are up first, sir. What would you like here?
I'm going to lay the points with Colorado. This is a matter of game investment and priority, I think, among other things. And I don't know what Oklahoma State has to play for. I really don't. I'll kick that one to you, but it feels like they're just drawing dead. And Colorado is, I know a lot of people framed it as, including Dion, they really, we had our destiny in our hands, and then we just didn't show up. I think it's a lot more about just how well Kansas is playing right now. So I think you're going to get a very motivated Colorado and a very not motivated Oklahoma State team. So 16.5 is a big number. Generally, I don't like to lay big numbers with Colorado like this, but I'm just going to do it.
OSU had their shot again last week. I've said I was there for the game, or at least for the first half. Took the older girls with me for their first OSU football game. They had a blast. And OSU, they took their shot at Texas Tech. And the defense is just so bad that even when the offense showed up, the defense didn't give them any help. You could point to the high snaps and turnovers. It doesn't matter. The defense could not get a stop to save its life. That's it. That's the story of the game. So, I have no reason to believe OSU should keep it within the number. I don't. But I don't like you, as you know, I hate numbers this big. I hate taking any team by this big unless it's some P4 non-con, although OSU is bad. It's bad. It's very, very bad. I am curious on a semi-resurgent Oklahoma State offense. Can they put up a decent number of points? The total is just so high. I don't like either. I don't like anything here. Like I said, this is the least prep I've ever done. Of the numbers, hold on. I've got beta rate pulled up here to look at. SP Plus has Colorado by 14. TSU has Colorado by 12. FEI has Colorado by 19. Beta has Colorado by 21. Parker has Colorado by 17.29, and Kelly Ford gives Colorado an 84% chance to win. It's the consensus curse, but it's the last game of the season. It's on the road. I don't know what OSU is playing for or what motivation they have. It was one thing last week at home for senior week, off of an idle week to introduce a new quarterback who looked better than Alan Bowman, like every new quarterback they've introduced has. Casey Dunn always is a magician of an offensive coordinator off of an idle week, and then he can't pull a coin out from behind a child's ear for the rest of the time of the season. So I'll ride with you. I'll just take Colorado. I think Colorado's knows that they still have a chance here if things fall their way in getting to the Big 12 championship game. They aren't going to have any games played before them, so they just know they have to go out. Style points can help, and do everything they can at this point to just win. Just go out and win. And as bad as Oklahoma State's defense is, I think Shedeur and Travis Hunter should have themselves. Travis Hunter should have a nice day. And I think if I'm Colorado and trying to ensure he gets the Heisman just to help Colorado as a program and Dion as a coach, getting Travis Hunter a Heisman would be a boon for both of those. So letting Travis have himself a day against Oklahoma State, which I think he can, I think is a huge thing for them. So I will also take Colorado minus 16.5.
Yeah, I'll tack a couple notes onto that. Number one, right now at BetMGM in our shop, we have Travis Hunter minus 1,000 to win the Heisman. So something miraculous would have to happen at this point for him not to win the award, at least in terms of how the market views it. That is what I think is going to happen as well. So that'll be cool. Number two, consensus curse when there's only two of us. Do we have house rules on whether or not that's in effect? Just something, I don't know, to think about.
I've looked that up before. It's only been you and me one other time this season. And we went 2-1.
Yeah, so I think the curse does not apply when there's only two people on the show. My final thought, since we're on the topic of Colorado, it really feels, you and I were texting about this week too. It feels like the last couple weeks, the Dion to the NFL conspiracy theory has gone mainstream. That the island that I had sole ownership of 3 or 4 months ago is now a vacation destination for many much more famous podcasters than me.
Oh, the island's been found. The resort has been built.
Yep. Zoning ordinances have been put into effect.
Yeah, there's already a casino on the ballot to whether or not she's zoned to allow a casino on the island. It is a tourist trap now. The beauty of the island is gone. When you've got Bill Connolly talking about it on his podcast, or not Bill Connolly, when you've got
Simmons and
Bill Simmons, sorry, one of the other Bills, talking about it on his podcast. You know it's a thing. Yes, we had our Colorado guest on the podcast a couple weeks ago who was like, no way, no how, not going to happen. No. And I'm like, it's fine.
Maybe. We'll see.
Vegas. That's all I'm going to say.
I had the teams right too. I mean, I didn't have the Cowboys, but I said the Saints and the Raiders. Those were my two. And boy, when I was wrong about 50 other things in that episode, probably, including, I think 5 minutes before that, I had just an offhanded comment about how I didn't want to take cheap shots at BYU and Arizona State, but boy, it's rough right now. So let's just forget that I said that. But
we'll do that. We'll do that. All right. Also on Friday, some real humdingers on Friday for the Big 12. A game that before the season I had earmarked as one of the games in the Big 12 this season. Alas, it is not. 7 p.m. God's time on Fox in Orlando, UCF hosting Utah. Boy, again, we were way wrong on this matchup. I was 4-7 UCF hosting 4-7 Utah. Two bowl eliminated teams facing off in Orlando. I don't know what either team has to play for here other than, I guess, pride. UCF is a 9.5 point favorite at home. Total in this one is 47.5 across the board. 9.5. I know how bad Utah is, but 9.5 feels like a lot considering it's a Utah team that does seem to be playing a bit better. I'll run through the numbers. SP Plus has UCF minus 2.1. Tishu has UCF minus 4.5. FEI has UCF. Hold on. I got to find it now. I don't have it written down. UCF minus 8.5. Beta has UCF. So I don't have them all on my notes. I'm having to pull them up live. So it has UCF by 8.56. Parker has UCF minus 3.71. Kelly Ford gives UCF a 69% chance to win. Utah offensively has looked better the last few weeks. Now, I know that last week, 14 of Utah's points came on a blocked punt return touchdown and a pick six. So, take from that what you will. But put up 24 against, the team scored 24 against Colorado, 28 against Iowa State, 21 against BYU. The point totals the last few weeks, since they played TCU, 7, 14, 21, 24, 28. They have incrementally scored more points every single week. So might we think they might crack 30 this week against a UCF defense that's not that great, and a UCF team that, again, out of bowl contention at home, probably mad that RJ Harvey was not among the Doak Walker finalists, which doesn't make any sense. There were no Big 12 running backs among the Doak Walker finalists. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care what the kid from Iowa's doing. It's nonsense. This is dumb. How is RJ Harvey not on this list? How is RJ Harvey? They're 4-7. I don't care. How is RJ Harvey not on this list? He should be on this list. Even he was commenting on Twitter about the fact just that he was not included. This game is bleh. This is a gross game. I don't know what to take here. I don't like UCF by that many points, even at home. I actually wonder if the over might be in play here just because I do think Utah is starting to score a little. I can't believe I'm going to do this on the road here, but I think I'm going to take Utah plus 9.5. I think they've been playing better. They've been keeping scores closer as of late. I feel like that's a lot of points to put up on a UCF team that doesn't have much to play for them pride as well, and a Utah team that seems like they're playing better. And this might be Like, we have no idea with Kyle Whittingham what's going to happen. Like, would we be shocked if this was his last game? I mean, I think I might be a little bit surprised. I don't know that he wants to go out on a 4-8, 5-7 season. But I hate doing this. I'm just going to go ahead and take Utah plus 9.5. I just think it's too many dadgum points for UCF to be favored by.
I'm definitely going to take Utah plus the points. Let's go back to a fundamental question about handicapping. When you're looking at a favorite, imagine that point spread that you have to lay with that favorite is asking somebody to fight with one hand tied behind their back, right? So you have to be really confident in that one-handed fighter that they're going to be able to win despite the advantage you're giving up. What have I seen with UCF that makes me think, oh yeah, they should lay 9.5 points in a conference game? Like, there's just nothing there. And I like risk. Like, I think like UCF's offense is moving in the right direction, but I could say the same thing about Utah. I would probably say the same thing more strongly about Utah, that since they changed OCs, I think the Utah's offensive has moved in the right direction, as you were alluding to. So I just don't see why on earth you would lay 9.5 to UCF in this spot. I think this is a bad number. I think this should be under a touchdown. Give me the points with Utah.
Oh, 2 for 2 so far, sir. 2 for 2 so far. Okay.
This year, win up to 1,000 times your cash every game day only on Underdog. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite players' stats like touchdowns, goals, points, and so much more. Millions of fans from all over the U.S. have won over $1 billion on Underdog. Underdog is offered in 33 states across the U.S. And this season, Underdog will be running a special, promo, or bonus almost every single day. Don't miss out. Download the app and sign up for Underdog today using promo code ENDZONE. And you'll get a free pick as part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code ENDZONE. Cash in on every touchdown this season with Underdog. Must be 18 years or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. 21 years or older in Massachusetts and Arizona. 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
We move on to Saturday. 11 a.m. God's time. ESPN2. This is an interesting game. This is a fun one. Baylor hosting Kansas in Waco. Kansas is 5-6. They're ruined the Big 12 revenge tour has been everything that we feared it could be when somebody pointed it out, right? They just lost to Kansas State. But since this idle week, blow out Houston, lose the Kansas State game they probably should have, could have won by 2. Beat Iowa State handily, beat BYU, and then beat Colorado handily. So they played 4 straight ranked teams. As we mentioned on Monday, Brett McMurphy tweeting out, Kansas is the first team with a losing record to beat 3 straight AP top 25 teams in FBS history. Like, they are, as Chase mentioned last week on the show, the best team in the Big 12 right now. Now they're going on the road to a Baylor team that has completely turned their season around. It's a Kansas team that's 1 win away from going bowling. Like, they are 1 win away from going bowling. A team that at one point was 1-5 could be going bowling. This is an exciting game. This is a really big game. Kansas currently a 1.5 point road favorite. Total in this one 61.5. Chase, you are up first, sir. What do you want?
Yeah, it's like watching my 2 children fist fight, because Kansas and Baylor, I feel like, have been the 2 teams throughout the season that I've really been higher on than the market, especially Baylor more so in sort of the middle portion of the season, and then Kansas late. So I kind of have to make a decision here of the 2 teams that I've really liked to bet. It's a little bit of a gut call for me, but I actually like Baylor here. It feels to me like this is the sell point for Kansas. I will not at all be surprised if they go on the road and win this game, but it feels a little bit like they've now reached peak market exposure. And one place you can find that is the fact that this opened Baylor 3 and has been bet all the way to Kansas 1.5 or Kansas 2.5, depending on your book. So people have now caught on to the Kansas thing, and I just wonder how long a hot streak lasts. it's a lot of gut feeling here. There's not a lot of math involved here, but my feel is that Baylor gets this game. And wouldn't it be appropriately carnage-tastic? Like, isn't the worst way for this to end? Like, we keep talking about how Kansas is doing the worst thing for the Big 12 over and over and over again, week by week by week. Wouldn't the worst way for this to end for the Big 12 to be Kansas loses this game, doesn't get bowl eligible, and now the Big 12 can't even point at like, okay, they beat all these teams and is awful and it totally killed our conference vision. But, they finished the season on this big long win streak and they're bowl eligible. And look at all these positive things you could say about Kansas at the end of the year. Or they could finish 5-7 and be a team with a losing record and not make a bowl game. That is probably the worst outcome. And that's not a reason to bet this game, but I do think there's a tinge of irony there that makes me think.
No, I think that's a great call. And look, here's the thing. Because we talked about Kansas has won 3 straight against ranked teams. Everyone's talking about Kansas again, right? And remember, they lost all those games at the beginning of the season in the fourth quarter. They had leads in every single game in at least the third quarter. They lost 4 of those 5 in the fourth quarter when they had a lead. It's not a bad Kansas team. They just had a lot of little issues they had to work through. And that idle week, they were able to. And yes, the funniest, like, hey, how many other ways can we screw the Big 12? Kansas losing here. So Kansas is getting all the narrative. They're getting all the national story because they've been beating ranked teams. Meanwhile, Baylor has won 5 in a row. Remember, they were 2-4 or 2-5. 4. No, 2-4. 2-4. They started season 2-4. They've won 5 in a row, but because they've beaten Texas Tech, OSU, TCU, West Virginia, and Houston, they're not getting the national attention. And their offense with Sawyer Robertson has been good. I can see either team winning this game. Absolutely, wholeheartedly could see either team winning this game. I would lean the Baylor side just because I think both teams are playing really well. We're not giving Baylor enough credit because they haven't knocked off 3 straight ranked teams. But honestly, the way both teams are playing, give me the over 61.5. Like, I'm taking the over in this game. Both offenses are playing so much better. My fear is this finishes at like, I missed this by like a point, 2 points, because that absolutely would be what would happen in this game. I just feel comfortable with the over. The way Baylor's been playing and their offense has been playing, and the way Kansas's offense has been playing, even at 61.5, I think this one goes over. I really do. So I'll take the over 61.5. And you mentioned there was a 2.5, Chase?
Yes, I saw a 2.5. I definitely saw a 2.5 before I got on here. So let's pull that up and make sure. No, I do not want to purchase VIP Vegas Insider. Thank you for asking, though. 2.5 at Rivers.
Congrats, you have a 2.5. All right. Moving on down the list, we get to also an 11 a.m. game. This one on FS1, Texas Tech hosting West Virginia. Call this the John Denver Bowl. Chase, before we talk about or make picks on this game, there's been some comments. I'm sure you've seen them on social media in regards to Neal Brown. You've seen the video after the game. It's a very and I said this on Monday. If you showed me that video and I didn't know what had happened in the game, I would think West Virginia lost. I would think West Virginia lost the game on Saturday just based off of Neal Brown's mannerisms and the way he was interacting with his family. Now, granted, it's a video clip. You don't get any context with it. It's just very odd. What are your thoughts in regards to Neal Brown and West Virginia this season?
As I often say, could do an hour on this topic. I'll start with the video. I'll start narrow. I generally agree with what you're saying and the overall consensus, which is you watch the video and you think that's a group of people that have been put through it, are a little bummed out, and probably like you could read that is 4 people that think it is their last home game in Morgantown, regardless of whether or not it's actually true. It seems obvious that they think that, right? I think it's easy to overread some of the social media stuff and clips that get shared. That one feels pretty dead on. I have always been skeptical that Neal's going to get fired. I have always been skeptical of that. And I've talked about it in previous seasons before on the show. I don't think we've talked about it a ton this year. The financial situation at West Virginia is not good. It is very difficult after he just got this big extension and increased buyout. It's hard for me to imagine, still pretty shortly after the university cut a bunch of academic programs, it is very hard for me to imagine them cutting a check for tens of millions of dollars for Neal Brown to go away on the back of back-to-back winning seasons. And if they beat Texas Tech this weekend, they're going to be 7-5. So it's really hard for me to imagine that happening, but I know it could. There are some people with deep pockets in the state. I think the number of people with deep pockets is a little overblown sometimes. This is something they could do if they really wanted it. I understand the frustration. I get, the stats about Neal's record against top 25 teams. It's bad. It's a really hard place to be because you're not bad enough to feel totally victimized. You're not bad enough to be like, well, it's obvious that we should get rid of this guy. You're not good enough to ever be happy about anything. It is a really expensive game day process because of, this is now getting really in the weeds in West Virginia stuff, but the game day stuff has become really expensive over the last 10 or 15 years, in spite of the fact that the product has actually gotten worse and kind of consistently been worse. And that's because it's the only game in West Virginia. It's the game that everybody wants to go to, and it's just supply and demand. I don't think that gets talked about enough, but that's the reality. If you have a state with, 1.5 million people and almost all of them want to go to the same game, and there's no real other games, there's like a couple of minor league baseball teams and you have Marshall over in Huntington. Other than that, it's like you gotta leave the state. You got to go to Pittsburgh for a professional game. You got to go to Washington. You got to go to Cleveland. It's just supply and demand, and it's really hard to have a really expensive game day that is getting more expensive in a poor state, and the product is this average. It's just such a mid-table Big 12 team. So there's a lot of frustration there, and that frustration I think boils over because there is no bottoming out. It's this stuck in mediocrity. It's like finishing in 9th place in the NBA. You're just like, you have no room to maneuver. You can't bottom out and get a lottery pick. You're not succeeding in the playoffs. You're just stuck. And that feeling of being stuck, I think, is what people are reacting to. And if Neal is back next year, and I kind of think he's going to be, I think even if maybe he doesn't think he's going to be based on that video clip, I think it's going to be like this. People are going to feel stuck. People are going to feel frustrated. I think that's where we're at.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I've said on the show for weeks, like, if he reaches bowl eligibility with everything going on this offseason, I'm going to be shocked if he's fired. Latest number, remember, he is owed 75% of his remaining salary, no matter when you fire him. At the end of the season, that would be roughly $9.7 million.
That's actually less than I thought it was. Okay.
Small amount. Right. Me too. Because I thought it was a little closer to like 12. But I'm looking at West Virginia, the West Virginia NSI, and I knew it was 75%, but they're saying it's 9.7. That sounds okay. Here we go. Let's pull up this one and see if I can get a different number. I said I think if he reaches bowl eligibility, he's keeping his job, and the primary reason that, aside from just like it is more money than you really want to have to pay right now with the House settlement, with everything so uncertain about what the future of college athletics is and potential of playing players, do you really want to fork over that much money to fire a coach? Now, in most cases, no. I keep seeing the narrative and the point of like, it shouldn't take 8 seasons to get things going. You see too many situations around the country of like, it's been proven. Like you can get a team that is successful, like really successful in the way you want within 2, 3, 4 years. Like we look at what's happening at Arizona State. Like it's year 2 for Kenny Dillingham, and they could be in the Big 12 championship game. West Virginia has just never gotten over that hump. The climb has just been like it's like you're climbing an escalator. So it's moving down and you're walking up, and you've been kind of stuck on about a quarter to a third of the way up for a few years. So I would understand from a standpoint of the right thing to do to appease the fan base who pay the bills is to pay this buyout, find the money, fire all the assistants, and bring in a new coaching staff. And I will also make one last point on this. Again, I still think he's probably going to keep his job. However, North Carolina is the only P4 job open right now. I do think it's going to be a lighter firing off-season
cycle. Yeah.
And so it would afford you an opportunity for potentially less competition in the market for a good coach. Now, the job is going to be the job, and competition in the market's not going to matter much if the job's not appetizing enough, right? What you have to offer isn't good enough. I don't know the answer to those questions. I'm just providing the counter to the we're only one of the only ones, everyone should want this job. Coaches are becoming more and more patient of they're going to wait for the job that they want. But less competition in the market would be a potentially better thing for West Virginia than, say, having 8, 9, 10 other better P4 jobs that come open this year.
And I'll tell you another factor that has really, I think, roiled a lot of fans, which I have a unique connection to. So maybe some unique insights is, Signetti is the native son. Like we've talked about it. Me and Signetti have had multiple conversations about like his growing up outside of Morgantown and me growing up outside of Morgantown. And the fact that he went to Indiana, of all places, and was immediately successful. A lot of fans were looking at him and thinking, we had this guy whose father was a coach here and he played quarterback here and he wasn't even that far away. He's down in Harrisonburg. We played him in 2019. We knew he was here. We knew he was like in the mix and on the radar. We could have hired him. How did we let him go to Indiana? And there, Indiana is 10-0. That could have been us. I think that was another log on the fire for a lot of people.
I think West Virginia at this point is in this situation because of poor contract decisions in regards to Neal Brown.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees on that. I don't think there's a single person who disagrees about that.
Yeah, had his contract if his contract wasn't what it is, had decisions not been made that shouldn't have been made at the time they were made, I don't think he would still be in Morgantown. However, he is, and I think I would lean toward he will be again for another season, but we shall wait and see. All right, back to the actual game at ham, 11 a.m. FS1 in Lubbock, Texas Tech. 3.5-point home favorite over West Virginia. Total in this one is 64.5. Ooh, that's a lot of points. That is a lot of points. I think I'm up first here. Look, going through the numbers, I got to get it beta ranked. SP Plus has Texas Tech by 0.5 point. TSU has Texas Tech by 1. FEI has Texas Tech by 2.1. Barker has Texas Tech by 2.72. Beta has Texas Tech by 6, and Kelly Ford gives Texas Tech a 60% chance to win. So consensus is on Texas Tech, not by 3.5, but on Texas Tech. And I have a hard time with the idea of West Virginia going on the road in the season finale and getting a win in Lubbock. I have a hard time trusting a Texas Tech team that's really, really up and down to some extent, but I don't know what the vibes at West Virginia are. Like the team's still playing for Neal. They are, but like I don't know that I trust Texas Tech. Like the last 5 games is a blowout loss to Baylor, choke away loss at TCU. You go on the road and beat Iowa State, then you get blown out by Colorado. Then you let Oklahoma State put up 48, and you win in some part because their defense is absolutely atrocious. You didn't even have to run the ball. Now you're going to come home to a West Virginia team that maybe motivated by the idea of coaching to save, playing to keep their head coach, to save their head coach's job. If that's the vibes around the program as well. Again, I don't know what the vibe in the locker room is there in Morgantown. So I don't like anything about this. That hook makes me nervous for Texas Tech. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to take West Virginia plus 3.5. And it's the hook there that bugs me. If it was 3, I think I'd just go ahead and take the home team to get this win. I don't trust West Virginia to get the win on the road, but I'm gonna not trust Texas Tech by more than a field goal in this game. Is kind of where I'm at.
I think the play is the over here. I am amazed that this number is 64 at DraftKings. I think this number should be north of 70. I mean, this to me is going to be massive offense game. Look at Tech scores from the last 6 weeks or so. 56-48, 41-27. You had a 23-22 at Iowa State in a game that was very much played at the Iowa State pace. 35-34, 59-35. We all know West Virginia is a team you can score on and a team that will score on you because they're such an explosive offense. So 64 to me is very light. This is an over for me. I am shocked that this is this low. And you know, the point that I would go back to if you like the side is West Virginia covers the games they win and they don't cover the games that they lose. So if you like the spread angle on this game, I would not be afraid to lay the hook on the 3.5 with Texas Tech.
All right. Well, I made my bed. I'll go ahead and sleep in it. And we will move on. All right. Afternoon. Arizona hosting Arizona State. The border war? Is that right? Is it the border war rivalry? I think that's what it's called. I should probably learn that since they're in the Big 12 now. Oh, well. Rivalry game, 2:30 p.m. on Fox in Tucson. Arizona State, currently a 9-point road favorite. Total of this one is 53.5. Chase, you're up first, sir. What would you like?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to go under 53.5. It's a rivalry game. I don't want to lay this many points with Arizona State. I've tried everything. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it.
It's all right. I know it's a rivalry game. Rivalry games, you throw out everything, blah, 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 blah. Arizona State's on the road. Arizona State minus 8.5. There's an 8.5. I'm just taking it. Speaking of you know what? I don't have a good transition. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Go to charliehustle.com. They've got Black Friday deals going on. They got promotions all the holiday season. They've got great stuff for everybody. Sweaters, hoodies, t-shirts, and every single Big 12 team is covered in there. All 16 teams. You can hear my children screaming in the background. So I think we're going to have to kind of move a little bit quicker here. So if something's not on sale that you want, use our promo code 101215, TEN1215. That's TEN1215, 15% off all non-sale items. My wife has texted me like, are you getting close to done there? And I'm like, So Cincinnati hosting TCU, 5 p.m. kickoff on ESPN+. TCU a 3.5 point road favorite, total at 58.5. The opinions are split on this one. SP Plus has TCU by 5.6. TCU has TCU by 0.5 point. FEI has Cincinnati by 1.3. Beta Rank has TCU by 3.22. Parker has Cincinnati by 0.74. Kelly Ford gives TCU a 52% chance to win. Cincinnati has to win this game to get to a bowl game. They are 5-6. They have now lost 4 in a row. This would be a 5-game losing streak to end the season on. I don't trust TCU at all. I feel like Cincinnati, it's not just a matter of like they're losing. Like they've been trending in the wrong direction. They have not been playing as well. I don't think Sorsby has looked quite as good as he did. They've been in games, you know. It was a 7-point loss to West Virginia. They haven't been. There's the West Virginia game. And that's the one they should have won, right? And then they played awful, horrible mistakes. I don't like the hook in this one. The total is at 58.5. You know what? I think I'm actually going to take the over here because I got 58 from SP Plus. 58.5 from Tishu, 60 from FEI, 60 from Parker. Beta's got it at, I have to do math. I don't want to do math. Like 50 something. Yeah, they've got it under. I don't know. Over 58.5. I'm just gonna roll with it. I don't have a good feeling on this one, but I'm not gonna trust either team. Chase,
I'm actually gonna take TCU. I went back and looked at what TCU had done for the last 6 or so weeks coming into this episode, and I was impressed by basically everything post the Houston, no-show game. Where Houston just like runs all over him and it goes crazy and is one of the weirder outcomes of this Big 12 season. Since then, they have been on a nice run. I don't think we've talked about them a lot, but they've really played their way into the top of the standings. Cincinnati basically is the complete opposite. Just not a lot of good outings the last month or so of the season. So you're laying a small key number on the road. You don't love that, but in a game that, like you said, you don't have a great feel for, and there's not an obvious angle into the game, I'll lay the small number with TCU just on the back of being in a good place coming into this game.
All right. I think the vibes are on the right side, man. For Cincinnati to end the season on a 5-game losing streak, it
would be bad.
Satterfield haters are going to be getting feeling awful vocal after being told, "See, you were wrong about him." Sure thing. Look, it is the game of the week in the Big 12 at 6:30 p.m. on Fox. It is Farmageddon. Iowa State hosting Kansas State in a huge game for Iowa State. They are a 2.5-point home favorite. The total in this one is 51 and a half. The projections are, I don't want to say all over the place. Most of them are on Iowa State. Kansas, SP Plus is the only one that favors Kansas State, and it's by 0.6 points. Otherwise, it's Tishu has Iowa State by 2.5. FEI has the Cyclones by 3.9. Beta has the Cyclones by 5. Parker has the Cyclones by 2.31, and Kelly Ford gives Iowa State a 57% chance to win. These are two teams that have been so erratic, to say the least. Kansas State's up and down. Iowa State's up and down. I just don't know what to project here. But I mean, this is a rivalry game. This is one where you do get to throw out the record books. Iowa State playing for their 10th win, for their first ever 10-win season. Like, the joke can finally die. The joke can finally die that Iowa State's never won 10 games in a season. Kansas State, things seem to be trending back in the right direction. Look, Cincinnati's not very good, but Kansas State handled them fairly well. No snow in the forecast for this one, so we're not going to get another snow bowl as far as I know. Man, it's just so hard here to figure out what to expect in this game. I'm really tempted. I'm just going to do it because there's a 51 on the board. I'm taking the over 51. I think this game's going to be a lot more pointsy than you would expect based off of the defensive performances. But man, this game is going to be pointsier than people think because it typically is. It typically is. So give me the over 51 in Farmageddon.
All the Iowa State people heard you say the joke can finally die and are like, Phillip, can we get the win? Can we win one of the last two games first?
Maybe the last 3 games. That's a possibility.
It is a possibility. I think they're not ready to be as bold as you. Maybe. Did you see, when both of these teams were in a healthier place a few weeks ago? Did you see the stat about how this game could be played 4 times in a row?
Really?
Week 14, potential Big 12 championship. So this is several weeks ago now.
Okay.
But there was a chance they could have rematched. And then there was a chance that you could draw it as a playoff game. And then they're playing next year, week 0 in Ireland. This is the weirdest possible stat. The same game 4 weeks in a row for one of the teams. It's funny you said over because I have contrarian over 51 written on my sheet here. I too think this game will be pointsier than people realize. I think we've talked about Kansas State's road defense. I think Iowa State's offense is probably going to play at a maybe slightly faster pace this game. So I also like the over here.
Another consensus. That's just our third one. And we started off strong.
That's a very weird one to have a consensus on.
Right?
Too.
This game just, they're going to have a lot of stuff saved for each other. They just do. All right. Last Big 12 game of the week. BYU, the trending in the wrong direction BYU, hosting the Houston Cougars, who will have a new offensive coordinator. Big 12 after dark, folks. 9:15 p.m. kickoff in Provo. BYU currently I got anywhere from 12.5 to 13.5 point favorite. Total of this one, 41.5. Look, I'm all about BYU at night in Provo. I know Houston's bad. Who knows what they're going to do with the new OC? I'm not sure it's going to affect much. I don't care. I have not taken it for a few weeks, and it has. I'm like 1-1 when I don't. So I'm just going to do the thing you do with Houston this season and take the under 41.5, which feels a little bit gross, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's so low. Taking the under.
Under 41.5. It's automatic. It's Big 12 play of the week. It doesn't matter. You just do it. You just sign up, put your name on the line.
Okay.
Houston under. They're 10-1 this year to the under.
Bennett, I'm almost done. Don't come in. Okay, thank you.
Bennett would also bet the Houston under.
Bennett is smart enough to know to bet the Houston under. All right. We wrap this up the same way every week with a non-Big 12 game, any game of your choosing. Chase, what would you like here this week?
So the one that's going to be my play is Army -7 versus UTSA. This feels like a gross overreaction to the Notre Dame game. Army has won, I think, every game this year that it has won by at least 11 points. The fact that it's only -7 against UTSA in the spot, I went to the injury report. I was like, oh, somebody must be hurt. Is Bryson hurt? Like somebody's got to be missing. Not as far as I can tell. This just seems like a weird number to me. So Army -7. And then the other one I'll just shout out here, Egg Bowl under 62, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. We talk a lot about Houston unders because they're 10-1 to the under. Ole Miss is right there at 9-2 to the under. And I think it's because there's this marketing idea. There's this perception that it's Ole Miss, it's Lane Kiffin's offense, it's Jackson Dart, it's go, lots of touchdowns. Yes and no. I mean, they play to the under, partially because of that market perception and partially because the defense is really good. So I feel pretty confident about under 62 in a rivalry game for a team that quietly skews very heavily to the under. Those are the two that I like a lot.
I did my thing where I tried to go through everyone's stuff and see if I could figure out one where I had some sort of good spot to oh man, I'm just like, there it is. Okay, hold on. I need to pull this back up and see which ones to line up with. I think I know which one I want. Let me see if I can get this to confirm which one that I want. But I think I know. Come on, load, so I can confirm this is what I want. I need to see what FEI thinks real quick, and then I will know. I'm looking at. I see that one doesn't benefit. Okay. I went for a few where obviously major outliers in projection versus what it shows. I looked at Louisiana versus Louisiana Monroe. Louisiana's a decent size, a 9.5 point favorite, but I have projections of like 22 and 14, like way past 9.5. I thought Louisiana Monroe was pretty good this season, so that seemed a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, they're better. Monroe is. They are not having a great second half of their season. The issue there and why the projections are so off the market is Louisiana's quarterback is done for the year. So they And that was about a week ago. So they just went to this backup quarterback. I think that is probably the tension there.
Okay. So I don't want to touch that one. The other one I found where I saw totals higher than projection, just about across the board, or at least mostly, is Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa is currently a 5.5 point favorite, is where I can get it, at home against Nebraska on Friday. Congrats to Nebraska on finally getting back to a bowl game. I got projections of Iowa by 14.5, 6.5, a couple at 4. And so I'm a little bit cautious and nervous about that one. So I am Man, I'm gonna steal your Ole Miss Mississippi State pick. I'm just gonna steal it because again, I have done minimal work this week. I'm tempted to take. You know what? I'm real tempted to just take Iowa.
Well, no, you should do the Egg Bowl under because now we can get the maximum funny outcome of you covering that and my Army pick going down in flames.
All right, excellent. Okay, I will take the under 61.5. Oh man, I got 4 totals to end my picks. That doesn't seem good. All right, we'll be back next week to make picks for championship games. Thank you everybody for listening. Chase, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving everybody out there. I'll have this up as soon as I can. I'm gonna go wrangle some kids for a minute and appease my wife. And yeah, this has been the weirdest. How many times have I said, this has been the weirdest 10-12 podcast episode ever? It is what it is. All right, folks. Happy Thanksgiving.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.